Podcast.
Nice.
In Apple Podcasts, you could definitely leave us a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. And of course, please download our app. You can listen to our podcast, listen to our radio, and get things going. Tonight, a big win by Alabama, 55-17. Huge win. I mean, beating LSU. The big name of tonight was Devontae Smith, and joining us all the way from Jackson, Mississippi, and Georgia, Matt Caddell, Justin Riley. Welcome back to the Sportscast.
Glad to be on, man.
Glad to be on, especially after a revenge victory. Enjoyed it.
Revenge victory it was last year. Alabama lost against a Joe Burrow LSU. This year's different. Different Alabama team. Mac Jones at the helm of the quarterback. Devontae Smith, a person that we talked about offline, Justin. Tell us, Justin, you live tweeted it firsthand. What was your first initial thoughts after the game was over?
Can y'all hear me?
Perfectly. Beautifully.
Right.
Sing it.
Yes. First initial thought is Devontae Smith's name needs to be synonymous with the Heisman Trophy conversation right now. Put some respect on that boy's name. This is not a quarterback-only award, and it needs to turn into what it is meant to be, and that's supposed to be the best athlete award. And after seeing Devontae Smith go off for yet another 200-plus yard performance with an acrobatic one-handed catch in the back of the end zone, put some respect on his name. That's definitely my first take. Second take, I honestly want to see 70 points. We talked about that before the broadcast started. I just was really salty after last year's loss. Not so much the loss, but the antics afterwards, the locker room talk, Ed Ogeron and his expletives. Just the whole nine. I just really wanted to see more, but then again, a 55-17 victory, it's very satisfying.
Matt Caddell, a person that played on the football field in Alabama. Devontae Smith, over 200 yards. What were your results, Matt? Are you relaxed after tonight's win?
Yeah, I am, man. I thought the defense stepped up, but, Devontae Smith, man, he's a guy. Every time they show his replays, it looks like he's jogging. It looks like he's only going 75%, and he gets open and catches all these balls. I thought Sark called a great game. The offensive line did a great job. Running backs did well. Like I said, the defense, they stepped up. I think it was important to, make those adjustments. I think they kind of threw a lot at us initially, but I think for me, taking away from this game, I think this is really good. I think LSU, this was a good matchup for our secondary and our quarterback because LSU still has a lot of talent on the secondary end with Derek Stingley, Stevens at safety and those guys. And I think that's kind of what we need moving forward. If we're going to, have a win in the SEC championship versus Florida. I think that just gives us a lot of confidence. I think we know how to game plan them. I think it's really good for us.
Justin, I know I saw you mention about the defense, kind of not tackling much, but it feels like things were improving throughout the game. Give us a deep dive over the Bama defense.
Well, in the first half, we mentioned this before the start here. We gave up, I think, close to 250 yards of total offense in the first half. It looks like the guys were out of position and missing tackles, kind of, going back to what our MO was earlier in the year. In the second half, it looks like we cleaned it up a little bit, but there were still some times where we were seeing that. I just wasn't as solid as a defensive performance as I would have liked and what a lot of us predicted. Honestly, I didn't want them to score a single point in this game. And leading up to the game, a lot of the analysts were alluding to us possibly seeing that. And I was really hoping for that because LSU up until this week just hasn't shown anybody anything offensively. And even against less than stellar opponents, they still weren't able to put together anything that resembled an offense. But against us, they came to play. I thought TJ Finley did a good job. I think he managed the game well, didn't really put himself in bad position. But I still feel like our defense could have done a lot better.
Matt Caddell, before the game, it was news that Charlie Strong and Mark Stoops was going to be in the sideline. Did that make a difference? What were your thoughts?
It probably had, having the other coaches there, it probably makes a lot of difference. But, I think they just adjusted really well, and I think it showed on the defensive end. I think once Charlie Strong got used to calling plays and seeing what they were doing, it really showed. And I think that's really good for him to really, because he hadn't put on a headset in a while. So for him to put on a headset and call the defense, I think it was a little shaky, as Justin mentioned in the first half. But I think, they covered it in the second half and ended up holding them to, 17 points. So had a goal line stop at the end. So that was really good. So I was very impressed with the defense. I really thought Charlie Strong, some of the other players, I think Nick Perry, coaching the safeties, Josh Chapman on the defensive line, I think they all did a great job.
Justin Riley, your man Mac Jones, a person that we've been talking about for Heisman candidacy, of course, is very debatable right now. 385 yards, Justin. Not that bad. Of course, that's going to happen when you score 52 points or 55 points. What were your thoughts about his performance, or he just had good receivers tonight?
I'm getting sick and tired, first of all, for that banner being placed on Mac Jones' head there. He's only as good because he has NFL receivers. And that is bull. Yes, the receivers are phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Devontae Smith is going to be a top 10 pick. Jalen Waddle is going to be a top 10 pick. We're blessed. However, if you look at his mechanics, if you look at the small things, the intangibles, like ball placement, the guy's balling. I mean, you can't deny it. He needs to get more respect, just like we talked about Devontae earlier, than anyone else. He needs to get more respect right now than he's getting. He had a tremendous night. I believe it was like 385 yards, 4 touchdowns. He only missed 8 of his throws. Just a solid night by the man, and you just can't ask for more.
Matt Caddell, I've not heard. We got Matt Caddell. I've not heard you talk much about Mr. Mac Jones. Do you put him in a category after tonight's performance into the Heisman category, if you had to?
I did. I've already had him in the Heisman category. I think we can put a lot of guys from Alabama in the Heisman category. I think put Devontae Smith. You can possibly put Najee Harris, leading the country and rushing touchdowns. So, Mac is just a really good quarterback. A lot of people might say he's better than Tua. I just think he's so great in the pocket, making decisions. Like I said, like Justin said, he uses his weapons, but Sark put him in a great place with play calling. Mac is just a really good quarterback. I think he's, for me, I think he might go in the first round. Maybe somebody like a Pittsburgh Steelers who knows Big Ben is on his last leg and maybe looking for somebody who they can maybe groom moving forward. I think that'd be a good fit for him. But Mac just came out and impressed me. I think he's a great leader. He knows what to do in the offense, how to distribute the ball. He probably could have had a lot higher numbers if it weren't for a few drops out there, but I think we'll get those corrected and move forward.
We have Joe on the line. Joe, once you get unmuted, we'll put you on. But before we get into Joe, Najee Harris, a little bit under the radar, but 145 yards, Justin. What were your thoughts over his performance tonight?
Well, first of all, that's not under the radar by any stretch of the imagination. A tremendous game by Najee Harris. It feels like the second half of the past couple of seasons, he just gets stronger and better. And, man, this guy is just playing himself into a first-round draft selection, man, possibly even top 15. The guy's just having a phenomenal season. Breaking records, he actually passed T.J. Yeldon tonight in touchdowns by running back. And, just did well. I mean, he did what Najee does, and that's dominate. It's just amazing just to watch him, move around. He has incredible jump cuts, so patient. It's amazing. I'll see him do a little jump cut and kind of, stutter a little bit. All of a sudden, it's like, boom, he's gone. And, man, it's fun to watch, man. I hate that we don't have him another year, but, man, we got some great guys behind him.
Yeah.
Caddell, Najee Harris, thoughts?
Man, Najee is just a straight dog. I mean, he's so big. He really helps. I think Gary Brad Nessler were talking about Alabama's big three. I think that's kind of what separates us from Florida. I don't think Florida really has a running game. I think they use their running backs mainly in the passing game. And I think if we can do that, control the clock, keep Florida's defense off the field, maybe they come up, try to stop Najee, and then we hit him deep, play action to Devontae. I think that just plays in our hands what we want to do offensively. But Najee is just big. He's solid. He's a great runner. He knows how to miss tackles. He knows how to catch the ball out of the backfield. He reads the holes, so he reads his blocks very well. He has great vision. And then, like Justin said, he might be a top 15 pick. I think there's some teams out there that may be looking for a second running back. A lot of teams have two running backs. You look at Cleveland with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. So, I wouldn't be surprised to see Najee come off the board pretty early to one of those teams.
Definitely a duo type of running back system into consideration for these days in the NFL. Justin, yeah, go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, Matt, I want to ask you this question. I actually asked Stephen M. Smith this question. I think it was last week or week before. Of course, Devontae's having a fantastic year. If we run to a situation where he's kind of neutralized, like say we play someone difficult in the playoffs or whatnot, who's going to be the other guy who can actually pick that ball up at wide receiver and be that next best option? Is it Billingsley? Is it Mechie? I just want to know your take on it.
Well, I think we kind of saw that earlier in the game. Maybe the first couple drives, Devontae wasn't making a lot of noise. And so it was a lot of Mechie and Najee. And I just think Billingsley is going to be one of those, weapons we can use to really open up this offense. And I think Mechie's doing well. I just think he's got to get a little bit more consistent on catching the ball and just seeing it and just tugging it in. But I think those are correctable things. And I think it's definitely going to be Mechie, Jaleel Billingsley, Forrestall, and a mix of Najee as well.
Bama clinches the SEC West, guys. Justin, Florida had a good win today. They beat Tennessee 31-19. It was kind of close in the first half a little bit. How do you see this matchup? I know it's it's probably going to be Florida and Alabama, no question about it.
It's locked. Yeah, it's locked.
How do you see this matchup as of today? And do you think Alabama has their gears together for that matchup?
Offensively, absolutely. I think we can match them shout for shout. They don't really have a stellar defense right now, but our defense has played better. But we're about to get a real test with a great quarterback, and that's been the measuring stick that I've been holding Alabama to the entire year. Is how are we going to respond when we play a quote unquote elite quarterback?
Caddell, Florida.
Yeah, I agree. I think, the defense is going to have their hands full, but I think we've kind of already been kind of preparing in the works, running a lot of dime and nickel. Probably going to mix in, throw a lot of things at Kyle Trask. But I think what's important for us, we got to get pushed up front with just four.
Yeah.
Our defense is going to have to get pushed. I think we can, especially with Barmore, Will Anderson, Allen, Dale, Tim Smith. There's so many guys we can use to get pushed. And so I think if we get that and just, contain Kyle Trask in the pocket, I think we'll have a lot of success versus Florida. Like Justin said, their defense is not all that great. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said, man, this would have been a really close matchup because Florida was just putting up so many points. But the last couple of weeks, they've only put up like maybe 31, 38 points, which has kind of been a shocker to me. So I'm really surprised that they're only putting up 31, 38 points the past couple of weeks. And they started a lot slow versus teams like Vanderbilt, who they play today. Tennessee, they started off slow. So I'm really surprised by that. So I think we'll be prepared for them in Atlanta.
Do you think Florida is maybe just playing down to a level of their competition right now because they may be bored, or they just kind of sputtering right now?
I actually think it's kind of sputtering because they haven't played that great, I think, since they played Missouri in Arkansas. I just think they're maybe sputtering. I think defenses are probably catching up to them, knowing what they're going to do Tennessee-wise. I'm just surprised that they haven't put up 40 points yet in about 2 to 3 weeks, so which is shocking to me. So I think LSU is going to play them really tough next week. I wouldn't be surprised that game be a little bit closer than what people expect.
And we got a caller on the line. Tyler Raymond, welcome to the Sportscast.
Hello, this is Stephen Slowinski. I am.
Okay, well, that was Tyler Raymond. Did not have much of a question there.
He's just excited to be after the victory. That's all.
Yeah,
Excited. Justin Riley, I think I've been seeing that the Alabama's defense have been improving gradually. Is it a positive gradually up, or do you think it's a steady, slow slope?
It's a positive, gradual move upwards. I've seen more push from our defensive line. Like Matt said, Christian Barmore has really come alive like we expected. But we're also seeing a push from Fedarian Mathis. Really like what he's been doing the past several weeks. He's just been on fire. And then Byron Young, really like him. I think he's going to provide more on that defensive front. I would like to see more sacks. That's one of the things that I'm really looking at. But yes, the defense has gotten a lot better. Christian Harris has been flying around. I think Chris Allen really hasn't got enough praise for what he's been doing.
I agree.
He's actually been kind of an unsung hero in the defense right now. But yeah, I've seen a gradual improvement. But like I said before, my measuring stick is when we play a good quarterback.
Caddell.
Yeah, I agree. I think we made improvement. I think today was a little bit shocking in that first half. I just think, with Charlie Strong calling the defense and all those different changes as far as coaching staff personnel, I think that really had something to do with it. I just think, for me, what the best number 3 Daniel Wright plays and the best Josh Jobe plays, our defense has no limits. So it's important for them to have good games that way our defense can be effective.
And there you have it. The defense is coming together. The offense is coming together. The playoffs are coming up. Next week is Arkansas. Things were a little bit rescheduled. Justin, I know Arkansas is one of the easiest teams to beat. What should Alabama do? Should they put their B team, or should they just run what they have today and just keep executing?
First of all, don't let Nick Saban hear you talk about putting the B team and just relaxing and taking it easy like we're playing the Citadel. Don't say that around him. First of all, give Arkansas some respect. They're really good this year. They're doing a phenomenal job. Sam Pittman has done a great job as a head coach, especially with all the blows he's been dealt this year. A lot of his really good players, and a lot of his players have been hurt or they've been out due to COVID, but they have still hung in there week after week against every team they've played. So they're not just going to roll over. They're going to show up. So Alabama's going to have to show up, and we're going to have to play very well against them. The biggest thing is how do we respond, how we get up after 2 big emotional wins. It's, you come off those emotional highs, and then all of a sudden you got to play Arkansas. It's really hard. It's really easy to get complacent after that. Matt, you could probably speak on that. So we just have to go out there, do what we know that we can do, put it away early, and be done with it.
Let me stay with that on Justin. Maybe Matt could definitely continue. How emotional was tonight's game against LSU? LSU is not doing well. They're in a rebuilding. They'll probably be good next year. But how emotional win was it tonight?
It's still a very huge emotional win. It doesn't matter that they're not doing well this year, man. Like I said earlier, after last year's antics, yes, we lost, and we take losses, and that's no big deal. But what they did after the fact is it really caused an issue with us. So we were out to not only win, but we were out to take their will away and just devastate them. So it was a big deal, man. It's a big deal. We went in there and we did what we did.
2 back-to-back emotional wins. We got Joe on the Sportscast. Welcome.
Yo, Roll Tide. I'm just coming in to listening on the cast. What y'all got to say?
Joe, what are your thoughts over the game? I guess Joe doesn't want to talk about it.
Roll Tide won.
Roll Tide won. There you go. Matt Caddell, jump on what Justin said. Last week, Auburn, huge emotional win. Not that good, not that great. They're not a threat. Same for LSU. Are you emotionally high after these back-to-back wins against your most rivals in the SEC?
Oh, yeah. I think always, as Coach Saban says, you want to play with emotion but not be emotional. And so you're always riding high, as Justin said. It was the antics after the game last year that really wasn't a class. It just really rubbed Alabama a long way. So I think that's always going to be bulletin board material for Alabama moving forward, always playing against LSU. And to Justin's point and your point about Arkansas, that's going to be Arkansas is no pushover. They played Missouri close. They should have beat Auburn. Just about every game I've seen, they've almost been in it. They have a really good defense led by Barry Odom. So it's going to be important for us to really come in there and execute and really get better next week and get a win and get focused on Florida. So, but I think for us defensively, from our schedule, I think we're moving in the right direction because, last week we played Gus Malzahn and Auburn, so that's a lot to deal with on the defensive end. We play LSU today. Well, I think Florida's played like Vanderbilt and Tennessee, so they've been having some type of cupcake games while we've been really being challenged and have really come in playing really hard leading up to the SEC championship.
Nick Saban, after a COVID break, Justin, how do you look tonight?
Man, he's business as usual. And, man, he wasn't going to slow down. COVID's not going to take him out. I don't think anything can. But, man, he just came in and he did what he had to do, man. There was no letdown from him, man. He's a competitor. So, he was Nick Saban.
Matt Caddell?
Yeah, I agree. I think the worst thing for college football was having Coach Saban out for a week, for 10 days, just watching from the sidelines, not being able to be active. So I think that just revved him up. I think he said he missed it emotionally. He felt like he was hopeless. So I think for him, he's going to be going he's going to be the head coach at Alabama for a long time. So he's going to have to get used to it, college football.
That's one of the things that Brad and Gary brought up tonight, that this little week off probably gave him at least 10 more years worth of coaching because, he didn't like being away. And be honest with you, man, I just don't know if he could ever stop. I mean, what would he do? I don't think he knows how.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's one of those guys, high energy, has a high motor, loves to coach, loves to develop a team. Like, he just loves that stuff. You see, he coaches the DBs. He coaches the DBs a lot during practice. So, I'm grateful that we have a coach like that who just loves the game, loves being here, and just loves to, cement himself in the Alabama football head coaching lore with Bev Ryan.
I do have to ask you this. You played for him. Do you feel like he's slowed down any at all, or maybe not quite as strict, not quite as, Nick?
Yeah, he's definitely not quite as strict. He's definitely not quite as strict. He had to be tough on us because he was implementing his program. But, I look at the game sometimes, I'm like, man, usually Coach Saban be chewing somebody out, either a coach or a player. So, I just think it's, it has a lot to do with a different generation with all these five stars. They're not like, not to say they're not tough, but, with the transfer portal, a lot of stuff can be, going through a kid's head. So I think you have to approach it a different way. Yeah. And I think Coach Saban just has adjusted to different types of kids that are coming in, recruiting-wise.
The SEC championship game is in 2 weeks in Atlanta, 8 p.m. Eastern. As of right now, the college football playoff rankings is Alabama number 1, Notre Dame number 2, Clemson number 3, Ohio State number 4. If everything goes into plan, being Florida, Ohio State might be the matchup. If
I love
all
that.
in theory. Matt, how do you think that will look like? I know it's 2 weeks. It's actually about a month away, right, Justin? How would that look like?
Roughly,
right now?
Yeah.
I think it'll look great. A lot of Alabama fans have a lot of disdain for Ohio State and the Big Ten. So I think it'll be a great matchup. I think it'll be a great game for us to really we owe them because of the Sugar Bowl a couple of years ago. So it's going to be a lot of motivating factor. I think if we get pressure on Justin Fields as Indiana did, because I think he ended up throwing 3 picks that game. If you throw 3 picks on us, that's going to be a long night for you. So I think for us, I think it'll be a great matchup, probably one of the better marquee matchups in the college football playoff.
Justin Riley, Ohio State, Kyle Trask. Can Alabama take them?
Oh, it's not, can we? It's by how much? No, but seriously, first of all, I'll put in Texas A&M ahead of Ohio State right now. But
why do you say that?
I just feel, well, one, their schedule has been a lot more favorable in the sense that it's put them in a better position by analysts and voters and whatnot, whereas Ohio State really isn't playing anybody. their schedule looks like a homecoming schedule, so week after week. But as far as me to piggyback off of Matt, I'm still salty after that loss to them in the Sugar Bowl. I still see Ezekiel Elliott running his mouth and acting a fool after that game. I still go back to I was watching that game at Buffalo Wild Wings in Hoover, and there were several Alabama guys there, but one Ohio State fan, and they was talking so much trash, and all that's been just etched into my memory. And I want vindication, man. I want to take down Ohio State.
Yeah, I agree, Justin. Like, I was at that game, and Ohio State fans, it was so many fans down there. I think they were trying to get away from the ice cold, but they were talking so much noise. And to me, the biggest takeaway from that game is Lane Kiffin did not run the ball. If we ran the ball, Derrick Henry probably would have had 200 yards just in the first half, and we easily beat Ohio State that game. He kept passing the ball for some odd reason. I don't know why, but I was so salty after that game.
A man all the way from Los Angeles, Brian Glaze, an Alabama fan in Los Angeles. Welcome to the Sportscast.
Hey, Leon, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good, man. Thanks for coming on. He used to be a regular back in the day. Now he's back in 2020. Got Justin Riley, and you recognize Matt Caddell, don't you?
I do. When I saw him in there, I was like, wait a minute. I know that guy. Mr. Number 11 himself.
Yeah. Appreciate it, bro.
In NCAA 2008, I used to have you catching one-handed passes all the time when I run Dynasty with Alabama.
Appreciate it. Thank you. I like that. By the way, they need to bring that game back.
Yeah, they do.
I will hope they do.
Yeah.
Brian Glaze, you're a very analytical person. Tell us about tonight's matchup.
Ooh.
LSU,
so
Alabama.
I'm switching the background in the middle of this too, since I was on something. but yeah, no, man, with the game tonight, it was crazy. I'm friends with the college football nerds, Daniel and Josh over there on their channel.
We don't like them.
You don't like them? That's all right. But their model, you might like what their model said a few weeks ago when it predicted Alabama was going to win by like 77-28. And the crazy part is that, like, cause this is historically like LSU's worst defense, like ever.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so like tonight, Alabama, they were trending for 800 yards and over 80 points, like at halftime. So, and that's wild. And so seeing that, like, I knew, like, after the first series or two, I told a friend that I was texting, I said, this game's about to get ugly. I said it could get very ugly. And I think Nick Saban felt sorry for him for a minute. I think at the beginning of the game, when he told him like, hey, they got to learn to respect Alabama again. I was thinking, I was like, oh man, he might actually let him do some crazy stuff here. But then I think after it got like, okay, this game is at 35-14, it's at 45-14 at halftime. I think he was like, okay, I think it's time let's just take the air out of it and run it down. But so like, I just from a analysis standpoint overall, I think what was really interesting from Alabama tonight is that they really established a run and just committed to it, like for the whole game, like first and second half. Like the passing was great as usual. Like we expect that all the time, but they bullied LSU. 100 yards rushing in the first half, 100 yards rushing in the second half. Najee killed it. Even the third and fourth string running backs. And I think if you can throw the ball for almost 400 yards and run the ball for like 200 plus yards in the same game consistently, like who's going to stop you? And Alabama made that look like too easy tonight versus LSU, even when they weren't trying to score anymore. I think that just came to mind immediately. Like as just watching that game, like I was writing notes. I just stopped because I'm like, if I keep writing, I'm just going to keep saying that was good, because that's all I saw.
So this was Alabama's best game, you're saying?
You know it? Maybe.
Statistically, probably.
Yeah, statistically. I don't know. I think like at some points in the game, like they kind of had some lulls, especially like near the beginning with some defensive things. But I expect that this year because they kind of take a moment, a series or two defensively to figure out what the offense is doing, and then they adjust to it. And then you saw they did pretty well. But I think overall, this is probably one of their better games, and they're statistically for sure on offense. Like, yeah, this is crazy.
Justin, any thoughts on that, Matt?
Absolutely. You mentioned it, make a very good point how we were able to continue to do what we do through the air, but establish the run and not only establish it, just flat out dominate. And I think that gives us a decisive advantage over Florida because we're so balanced. Whereas Florida, they're all pass and no run. So I think that's just another thing that we have in our bag that we can use to our advantage.
Yeah, I agree. Joe made a lot of great points talking about the stats and everything.
Joe.
Alabama having a lull during the game. I think we just had to figure out what they were trying to do offensively, and I think us being balanced is really lethal for defenses to try to stop, because if you're going to try to stop the run, then you got to focus on the Najee or the passing game. So, like I said, I think this is a great game for us. I wanted 60 points, like I mentioned earlier, but if Slay hadn't a fumble, we probably would have had it. But like I said, I think Alabama does everything with class. I know both Bear Bryant has always wanted that, Alabama being a first-class program. And so, we win and keep it moving and get focused on the next week, so we don't have to do all the antics like LSU.
Brian, which player really impressed you the most? Because you haven't mentioned much players, but which one really impressed you the most tonight?
Now, just overall or Alabama specifically?
Overall, I mean, you can name an LSU player if you want.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say it's two players specifically on LSU that just caught my attention, and it was the running back number 4, Emory. That guy, like in that first half of the game, like he was running hard. I'm pretty sure he at one point he had some carries after this too, but he had like 76 yards on like 10 carries or something like that. But there were a couple of runs where he ran through like 7 or 8 Alabama defenders up the middle. And in LSU, they did like a solid job, run blocking, but like his efforts specifically, it was crazy watching the way he moves. So I think if they feature him moving forward, like next year or whatever, I think he's going to be really good. Now, and even though I think also for the quarterback Finley for LSU, like his stat line wasn't amazing, but there were times where I was like he saw that pressure coming down on him, and like he just rifled the ball in there. Like even the one where I'm not sure if Alabama busted the coverage or the safety was just late getting over the top, the one where he threw the touchdown to Butte. That pass got there so fast. Like Jordan Battle was still like 4 or 5 yards away from him, like when the receiver caught the ball. And I was like, that's like that type of stuff is like he has some talent, and he didn't look lost. I think what impressed me about it was that he's a true freshman, and he did that type of thing. Whereas like some true freshmen, they have, just like the deer in the headlights. So I think those two guys from LSU like stood out. A guy that probably didn't get talked a lot about, probably did on the broadcast a little bit, but watching Chris Allen for Alabama, it's funny, he didn't make a lot of splash plays tonight, but like there was a play early in the game where like he like hit his guy, the right tackle on the edge, and like he maintained the leverage, and then the running back tried to cut inside and like grabbed him with one arm and pulled him down. And he just did simple things like that play after play. And later on in the game when LSU had to throw the ball, Chris Allen was also creating pass rush opportunities too. Like he teamed up with Will Anderson a couple of times and brought the second LSU quarterback down, Johnson. And so, Chris Allen caught my attention a lot tonight.
Justin, who impressed you from LSU tonight?
From LSU, well, not to copycat, but just as Brian said, their running back, man, he was just a stud tonight. He ran hard. He ran with purpose. He was causing a lot of missed tackles, and when people were on him, he was moving piles. I mean, it was amazing to watch. It's like watching those old school ground and pound running backs, man. But this guy was a lot more explosive. Like I said earlier, I was impressed with TJ Finley. I think he didn't try to force anything. He didn't try to play outside of what his abilities were. He looked really good, considering the situation. And I think that he is showing us a glimpse of what he can be. And I think that within the next few years, he's going to be a solid player for LSU, and then he's going to cause some problems in the SEC.
Matt Caddell, who impressed you from the LSU side?
Just like Brian and Justin said, the running backs really did well. I really like Eric Gilbert. I think he's a really good tight end.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. And I think the defensive Stevens and Stingley, I'm just always, I give them respect, especially Stingley, how he's a great corner. I think they have a lot of talent on the front four on both sides of the ball. Some of their linebackers did well, but I'm going to stick with what really surprised me was the backup quarterback, Max Johnson, that came in the game. He was like making plays left and right.
He was.
He was.
I was like, where did this guy come from? So
I didn't realize he was Brad Johnson's kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he proved it.
He looked like it tonight.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Well, there you have it. LSU, Alabama, and a wrap. All you guys are pretty emotional. Good game. Maybe Alabama's finest game. A good, not good send off because you still have Arkansas, which we talked about a little bit before. But we'll see how that matchup will come. I'd like to ask Brian this question because we're thinking Texas A&M could squeeze into the top 4. Right now is Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State. Do you see that standing, or do you think there'll be some shuffling in the next couple of weeks?
Ooh, are you asking me who I think is better, or just what I think is going to happen?
What's going to happen in 2 weeks, right, Justin?
Well,
is that like the
there has to be shuffling because Notre Dame and Clemson play each other, so one of those guys is going to be bounced out.
Right. Yeah, right. And then and so the hard part about it too is that everyone has their eyes on both Texas A&M and Florida being one-loss teams right now. Yeah. Now, of course, Alabama plays Florida, and Florida's probably going to be the most dangerous team Alabama's played to this point. And so that's going to be really interesting. But here's the thing: if Florida beats Alabama, I think Alabama's in anyway.
Yeah.
But that's bad news for everybody else because if Florida beats Alabama, that means Florida's in and Alabama's in. And that's going to automatically create some crunch space for either Notre Dame, Clemson, or, well, I guess they're going to play each other again, right? So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But for Ohio State, whoever else is coming up. And so, man, I think I don't expect Florida to beat Alabama, actually. So I don't think Florida's going to make it in. So it's going to be Alabama. I see.
You sound pretty confident about that, and I wish we had more time if you want to flesh it out. But keep going.
Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see Alabama. I think Clemson's going to go in, and Notre Dame's not going to be in. Actually, Ohio State, and then I'm going wild card here. I tell you that Texas A&M actually is going to sneak in.
What do you think about that, Matt?
I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm all in on Notre Dame. I saw them play a couple times, so I think they're definitely in.
You're saying they could beat Clemson again?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think
for the record, I think they can beat them again too.
Wow.
But I don't think they will.
Yeah. I mean, if Notre Dame wins, they're definitely in. Clemson's out. Probably Texas A&M comes in. Possibly Ohio State. But yeah, I think Alabama would definitely enjoy having a matchup with Texas A&M. Texas A&M has really impressed me the past couple of weeks. I watched them versus Auburn. I didn't really see that flash like I thought I would, and I saw them versus LSU. I think they only scored 20 points or something like that. So,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm not really impressed by Texas A&M. I definitely see Ohio State coming in if they play a couple games, playing championship, and Alabama, obviously, and winner of Clemson, Notre Dame for sure.
Justin Riley, do you see Notre Dame beating Clemson 2 in a row, and do you see Texas A&M making it into the last spot?
Well, like it was just mentioned previously, I think Notre Dame certainly is capable. But as I would love to see Notre Dame do that, I'd love to see them be in the playoff. But I just feel like Clemson's going to beat them. I just feel like Trevor Lawrence wants to have one more go at it before he goes off to the Jets, more than likely.
That's gonna be bad for him.
Oh God. Yeah. I would sit out.
Yeah,
man, I call The Rock and be like, look, bro, I'm coming to the XFL with you.
Honestly.
But no, Clemson's going to win that matchup, and I think that A&M will be that second SEC team that climbs up the top 4. So Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, and A&M.
A lot going on with that. I would like to bring up this game. Coastal beat BYU 22-17. Who wants to bring? I think Matt was gonna talk about it. What are your thoughts about that matchup?
Yeah, I called it. I said I picked Coastal to win the game because they really have really good corners on the outside. They really have a really good defense. And, for them to beat BYU, it just shows you that BYU really hasn't played anybody. So
They played North Alabama. Come on.
I was glad
North
to see
Alabama
them
used to be
lose.
tough.
Yeah, they did in Division II.
Yeah, in Division II.
Crazy.
And Brian, what are your thoughts about Coastal beating BYU?
Yeah, I watched especially a good bit of the first half, and I think the thing that stuck out to me the most was that BYU's defense just looked slow. Coastal made them look slow, and I think and like you said, Matt, I think that's a testament to the fact that, like, although they've been solid, I mean, to go anytime you're undefeated, like you have to have like a certain like mentality on your team. You got to have some talent, right? That's just something you have to do. But still, the teams you play and how you play them is important. And I think tonight they were showing that, like, while we may be fundamentally sound or we do these things a certain way, like when teams have talent or at least more talent than us or more athletic than us, then we can't keep up. Their linebackers look slow. Their defensive linemen look slow. The Coastal QB, when he was running, like defensive linemen were like just reaching and grabbing at like in every play. And I was like, they can't keep up like that.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on that?
Is it my turn now?
Go ahead, Justin. Go. You're
How are you,
Coastal
Justin?
fan. That's your fourth
Hey,
favorite team
two
in the
things.
football.
My unsung hero of that game was their 5'9" center.
Wow.
5'9".
Yes, Coastal
Yeah.
Carolina center is 5'9" and 270 pounds. Shout out to that man. That's awesome. He gives us
That's
short
awesome.
guys something to be proud of. Two, I am so glad that the chatter about BYU being so great, we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime, is done. I don't want to hear any more of that. I mean, you played West Texas Library College week 1. You played Hogwarts week 2. You played
Hogwarts.
Hey, Hogwarts is pretty tough though. Don't count Hogwarts
Yeah,
out.
Gryffindor.
There's some magic on you.
Hogwarts pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty
they are,
good.
man. There you go. They have good seekers. I'm a nerd now. I love it.
I got you. I feel you. I'm a Ravenclaw.
I love Harry Potter too.
Yeah,
My
I'm
wife
a
put me
Ravenclaw,
on
by
it.
the way.
Hey,
Yeah.
I read all the books twice. So man, yeah, me too.
Same here.
But yeah, I'm glad the BYU chatter is done. But I think it's really great for teams like Coastal Carolina, who just don't get the publicity like this. It's awesome for a group of 5 teams like them and Liberty and Cincinnati. It's really cool to see them be in the spotlight for a change.
I would like to go to Brian. I don't go Brian too much, but your analysis is pretty spot on. Zach Wilson predicted to go up. His stock has risen in the past couple of weeks. Matt doesn't think so. Where do you see this kid going? Do you think has a bright future? Could get into that, first round of the NFL, maybe after Trask or Lawrence or.
Oh man, that's so tough. Because I think I'm like somewhere in the middle on him. Like when I watch him play, his throwing motion is really compact, and it's quick. It comes out fast. He's very accurate, as you can see. And so seeing that is I can see why people like him a lot. Seems like a solid player. The interesting thing is though, I just don't know how much he translates. But to be fair, it's kind of hard to say that in general. I mean, Tony Romo played Division II. Carson Wentz played. No. So it's where these guys
I
come
want to use
from.
Wentz.
Don't right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say he started out looking good, and then it's oh
Man.
And Zach Wilson could very well have the same situation happen, right? He comes in, they put him in the right situation. It's oh, this looks like it might work out. So, but now just in terms of pure projection, I think teams are gonna take a chance on him. I think he goes first.
Justin?
I'm not too big on these quarterbacks who come from schools like that where they don't play any real good competition. I've never been high on it. It's very rare that you're gonna find situations like a Tony Romo that come out and just defy the odds. I'm not a big fan, but I feel like when it comes to the draft, they like the flavor of the week guys. They like these shiny object quarterbacks, and they will draft them high because of hype that they try to generate for them. I don't think he goes before Trevor Lawrence as much as they are trying to say that he will. I think Trevor Lawrence is still a solid number 1. I wouldn't draft him ahead of some of the other guys right now, but he more than likely will.
Matt Caddell, what do you think about?
I got him going maybe second or third round. He's just not high on my board. I have Trevor Lawrence. I have Trey Lance are kind of my top two. I got Justin Fields slipping. I don't think he's good, but he hasn't really impressed me that much.
Right.
I have Mac Jones probably going. I'm trying to think who else is that. Maybe Kyle Trask probably go in the top 4 quarterbacks. But yeah, I think Brian Wilson to get a shot. Maybe somewhere like Detroit, where Matthew Stafford might be on his last leg, or somewhere like that. So I think he's good. He's just not that high on my board. I haven't seen enough for me to watch him in the time I did see. I just think the competition level is just too low for me to really get a good evaluation on him.
So you still that high on Trey Lance? Like he's your firm number 2?
I think he has more potential. I think he has better potential than Justin Fields, and that's the only reason I have him up there.
That's saying something.
Yeah, Justin is good, but I mean, for some odd reason, when I watch him, it's just like, okay, he'll go from like first 2 games, he was like 20, 22, something like that. But the Indiana game, he threw 3 picks, and I'm like, 3 picks? That is a little much. So, I think he's good. Somebody probably like Atlanta might be drafting him. He might go number 2. But I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely the bona fide number 1 quarterback out here.
Brian?
Yeah, they're what's that?
Tell us your projections for the NFL draft for quarterback-wise.
Just quarterback-wise? Yeah, I think so. I'm not as high on Trey Lance. I actually think so. It's my flyer. I think Zach Wilson is actually going to go higher than Trey Lance.
Okay.
I think Trevor Lawrence is going to go number 1. Just off pure, like they love his physical tools. Like that guy can the ball flies out of his hand, and he's tall. Like, and they love that. Like tall, strong arm. It's going to be there. And so I say Trevor Lawrence going first, although I don't think he will be the best out of the guys in his class, but that's another projection. Then I think Justin Fields actually goes second. And then I think some team's gonna go Zach Wilson third. And then I have Trey Lance, then Mac Jones and Kyle Trask.
Oh, okay.
And Justin
Riley,
Riley,
list, they'll be drafted. That's a good list.
What is your list looking like? And I know that you keep your list in your back pocket.
I'm gonna go with Trevor Lawrence, number 1. I feel like, even though I don't agree with it, I feel like Wilson's gonna go number 2. I would draft Mac Jones ahead of him, to be honest with you.
Oof.
I would I just feel like he's played his competition level warrants it. And then, like I mentioned earlier, his skill set. Yes, he does have great wide receivers, but his intangibles are just phenomenal. Kid has incredible toughness, great ball placements. He's very patient. He just looks to me like he's going to be a solid NFL quarterback. But and then Lance, and then Justin Fields. Well, Justin Fields before Lance. Even though I'm not as big on Justin Fields as others are, I still think he'll go like probably third.
And there you have it. That is our projections for the NFL draft next season. Justin, anything else before we head into the closing the doors here?
Well, great win. Like I mentioned earlier, wish we would have had 70 or even 60, but you know what? We still did what we had to do. Big thing is we came away injury-free. That's huge.
And COVID-free.
Well, we hope so come Monday when we test again.
I got scared Nick Saban was shaking hands with all those LSU assistant coaches.
Yeah, he should have been gathering them up.
Exactly, man. He should have been in a hazmat suit.
Right. Like, what are you doing?
But yeah, phenomenal win. Let's just keep it going. I want to see that defense improve more and more, and I'm really anxious to see how they're going to respond against Florida. Quick reminder, everybody, please tune in to my show with Marvin Constant this Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to reveal who our guests are just yet. I'll drop that on Monday. Always a good time with me, Marvin Constant, and comedy legend Steve Brown. We have a little bit of analysis and a whole lot of nonsense. So whatever you like, we got it. Please tune in.
And before we close the show, we're gonna have some predictions. I know that some people don't like to mix NFL, but who you got tomorrow between Cleveland at Tennessee? We'll start with Brian.
Oh, snap. Okay. No, I say I got Tennessee there. I think Tennessee is actually going to be able to just establish a run and go with Derrick Henry like they usually do. And I honestly, I think that's just where it ends for me. I don't think Cleveland can actually stop them that well.
Caddell, who are you going for? Cleveland at Tennessee.
I'm not a big Cleveland. Never was a big Cleveland Browns fan, so I'm going with the regional team. I'm going with Tennessee. I think they're going to pull that out.
And Justin Riley, we know one of your favorite teams is the Titans.
Absolutely, man. Derrick Henry is just doing Derrick Henry things right now. He's dominating. I do like what Cleveland has been doing as of late. Ever since Nick Chubb has returned to lineup, they have played significantly better. Great running game. Of course, Baker Mayfield just isn't, elite. I just feel like Tennessee's playing at too high level right now, and I think they're a much more talented team right now across the board. Running back wise, of course, with Derrick Henry, then AJ Brown at wide receiver. I don't see anybody on Cleveland's defense stopping him.
Brian Glaze, the Rams at Arizona, but apparently that's both their home games like their home venue.
Yeah, I know that was an awkward one, and it's kind of like a toss up for me in that case. But I'm just gonna go with the Rams on it.
The Rams.
Matt
Caddell, I hear you're a fan of Goff. Who you got in that matchup?
The Rams and who now?
Rams at the Cardinals.
Ooh,
Kyler Murray.
I'm going with Murray because I need him to do well for me fantasy purposes.
In the fantasy.
No allegiance to his former team. I like that.
And Justin Riley, a big Hopkins fan. Who you got between the Rams and the Arizona Cardinals?
I gotta go with the Cardinals, man. I just like them a lot. Yes, Hopkins is phenomenal, but our boy Kenyon Drake, I think, is going to be the difference maker in this game. He's going to have a big game, so I'm going Cardinals.
Sunday Night Football, Brian. I think I believe Kyle Shermer might be quarterback. I'm not sure who's going to be quarterback in that game, but the Broncos at the Chiefs doesn't make a difference.
That was wild. Yeah, I think I'm going Chiefs.
Matt Caddell, is everyone going to pick the Chiefs on that one?
Oh yeah, easily. I'm going. You can't. I don't think we're giving Patrick Mahomes enough credit, man. He's just really, really, really good.
And Justin Riley, I know you're a big Noah Fant fan, but do you think
Noah Fant, yeah,
beat the Chiefs?
Man, I think Denver is a mess right now, especially at quarterback. Matt, didn't they call you up to see if you could toss the ball for him?
Yeah, I think they called my niece and nephew too.
That's what I was thinking. I can't believe
even Leon too.
They called me up, man. Hey, I'll get paid for $1 million.
Yeah, get that game day check.
They didn't call me. I can block for them. I can't throw.
Come on, somebody.
And it stinks, man, because I want to see Jerry Jeudy do well, and it's just holding him back. But Broncos will not win this game.
You don't think Locke's the man there?
I think he's an average quarterback at best. I don't think he's a starter. I think he's a guy who can be a solid backup somewhere. And somebody needs to keep John Elway out of the draft room because he can't make good decisions in the front office. I'm sorry. What you did on the field doesn't necessarily always translate to the front office or coaching. So he needs to step back.
Anyways, that is our NFL predictions. Look forward tomorrow, which we'll be live tweeting it on the Sportscast One on Twitter. Brian Glaze, what is the best way to reach you to talk to you about Jerry Jeudy?
If you want to reach out to me, I'm always on Twitter during the football games too, and that's at Brian Glaze Talks. Also, if you on my YouTube channel, Brian Glaze, you can always just pop up there and ask me questions on my comment section. That's what everybody else does too.
Brian Glaze, yeah, and your best video is the Justin Herbert video, wasn't it?
The Justin Herbert video where we all kind of had like a fun moment talking down on him, and then he comes into this year and he's like, I'm at least gonna be serviceable. And we're like, okay, I might have a follow-up video on that.
Matt Caddell, what's the best way to reach you for people to discuss if you're in better shape than Marvin Constant?
Oh yeah, hit me up on Twitter, mcaddell11. I'm on there. Hit me out with any questions. Facebook, I need to do more. I think I'm gonna get my wife to tweet everything I post on Facebook because I'm just so addicted to that during the football games.
Yeah, no, tweeting is definitely one thing we do a lot, or maybe we do too much. Justin Riley, what's the best way to reach you to talk to you about what's the best things to eat after an Alabama game, and tell us about your show on Tuesday?
It's amazing how we had to really push Matt to get a Twitter account and start using it. So I'm really proud
Thanks,
of
you guys.
And you might tweet more than Marvin Constant. I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, all Marvin tweets is about his book.
Marvin's improving. He's doing a good job.
By the way, Marvin, only thing he tweets out is like his shirt off. I'm like,
dude, he's been doing way more.
Like, I know you worked out today, bro.
Especially during like the holiday season where everyone's
I am
eating.
going to.
Yeah.
I gotta tell Steve Brown that, man. He always gives him a hard time every show about that. It's hilarious.
He looks 29.
No kidding, man. So I just forgot the questions you asked me, Santiago.
Yeah, what's the best place? What is the best place to eat after an Alabama game?
In Mississippi, or in
Mississippi,
Alabama?
And also Tuscaloosa. And then what's the best way to reach you?
After a game, since I'm in Mississippi, unfortunately, I always go with Hungry Howie's. That's always my go-to. If I was in Alabama, I usually hit up Bumhauer's. That's my thing. I love their wings. Definitely the best in.
And they're open right now, like currently.
They are open right now.
If I hop on a flight from LA right now,
you're making.
Yeah, come on.
They're open until 5 in the morning, and they deliver until 5 in the morning.
Hey, that's nice.
As far as social media, I'm everywhere. I'm on Twitter at Justin Riley 7. I'm on Instagram at Justin Riley _7. I'm on Facebook. I'm also on YouTube. I got some popularity here as of
what's going on? I hear you're 230 subscribers. I mean, Brian has like 1 million, but
yeah, I know, right? I've got like over 300 now, and that just happened over a span of a week. Really crazy.
Hey, that's nice.
It has to be you taking off a shirt.
No, that doesn't have that appeal. I have clips from the Riley and Constant show, some really entertaining clips, but also have some inspirational videos. Apparently, those are catching the eye of people. I'm about putting positive content out there, especially right now, something we desperately need. Again, this Tuesday, the Riley and Constant show with Steve Brown, always a great time. I will announce the guest this coming Monday, but we'll be recapping the LSU win. We'll be previewing the Arkansas game, and then we'll have some guests and go through their careers and make some predictions and have a lot of fun in the meantime.
Yes, definitely. Do not miss the Riley and Constant X-rated show every Tuesday night at 7.
What?
Yeah, 7 p.m. No, I'm just kidding. It's PG, right? No, rated G. It's almost as good as watching Little Mermaid.
Right.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Wait a minute.
I was like, wait a minute.
That must be on the premium sportscast channel that I don't have access to.
That's where Marvin just with his shirt off all like the whole show. Anyway,
the only sports channel.
Yeah. Only fan.
Anyway, you can reach us at the Sportscast1 on Twitter or at thesportscast.net, or download our app, the Sportscast, on the iOS platform. And of course, this tomorrow we'll be live tweeting 2 NFL games. I'm trying to push Justin to tweet the Cleveland at Tennessee matchup. Hopefully that will happen, because I think it's gonna be a big game. But you may.
It is a big game as far as a playoff positioning, for sure.
Yeah,
it is. And Cleveland's looking good, by the way. Cleveland's looking good. And of course, on Monday night, you got Tyler Turner. He's gonna recap Oregon, California, which I think Oregon's up, right, Brian?
It's fine. I haven't checked in a minute. Let me check real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. And of course, we have the Riley and Constant on Tuesday. My shows are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. Wednesday might be a night show. And on Thursday, a Roadshow and Jones. They recap the Giants games back in 2012. And they definitely have a good time. And of course, Justin Riley appears there sometimes. But yeah, Brian,
took a turn for worse. They took a turn for worse for Oregon. They actually lost 17-21.
Yeah, they did, man.
They lost. Wow, 2 in a row. Tyler will be quiet for next week, right, Justin?
They were stopped 3 times in the California territory.
By Cal.
Yeah.
I thought they were supposed to take over the world.
Well, I mean, talent-wise, yes, Oregon should have had no problem with the Pac-12 this year.
All I keep hearing is that Oregon was set up to be the next Clemson, and I'm like, yeah, sure.
Anyway, it must be
I
a
actually
Herbert
think
effect.
USC might come out that conference.
They
Which
have
is
the
kinda
most
crazy to
talent.
think about.
They just don't have a coach who knows how to coach.
Well, anyways, Matt Caddell, leave us with some closing words before I say closing words.
Important words. Be positive, roll tide, and enjoy your weekend.
And it's only early, guys. Alabama has not made it yet. They got to beat Arkansas, which is really tough, according to Justin. And they got to beat Florida. And that's really tough as well because they got to go to Atlanta, to a stadium that has Chick-fil-A closed on Sunday in their stadium. Anyways,
Hard knock life.
I'll see you guys
I know,
later.
right?
Sportscast continues. Justin, thanks for coming on. Brian,
Yeah.
Matt, God bless. And what do we say at the end after every Alabama game?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll tide.